Hey agents, welcome to part 4 of Decoding Higher Damage. This module will conclude this mini-series with math insights and practical application. In this module, I'll cover the outermost layer of my mental model, amplification. This involves final stage multipliers. Yes, you heard right, it's plural. Amplifiers provide higher levels of bullet damage, which can significantly improve our chances of success in raids, incursions, heroic, master, and legendary level combat. If you're new to this series and to this channel, please note this video is not a standalone module. Here's a recap of the videos you need to watch before proceeding with part 4. Each module builds your knowledge of the damage equation layer by layer. Deadlier weapon damage. We always start with a strong, always-on foundation of weapon damage. Decoding higher damage, part 1. Here we explore how to augment that foundation. You bring the bonus damage, such as crits and detalk, and the game engine will use the categories as multipliers. Decoding higher damage, part 2. This module further examines the multiplicative damage equation and advises you to choose augmentation multipliers for practicality and tactical value. They won't kick in if you don't do your part or observe their requirements. Then, in Decoding Higher Damage Part 3, we examine how the game engine sums up each multiplier category, then goes to work. And now, Decoding Higher Damage, Part 4, we explore temporary boosts to foundational weapon damage and the role of final stage amplifiers. Before I go on, here is a quick word on updates. I will generally address factual errors in the description section and provide clarifications and corrections. I sometimes stay up too late recording and editing, so please pardon me when I goof up a little. I'll keep an eye on things the best I can. Sound good? Okay. Let's get into these final topics of this mini-series. Let's take a look at what the previous modules covered. We have our foundation. Think of this as wood you need for a fire. You need a good amount of dense and heavy wood to make the fire strong and last long. If you skimp and use cheap softwoods, the fire will die out before you know it. So what is the substance we can bring to make the foundation of fire, or in this case, firepower, more robust? We look for consistent, reliable, and dependable sources of weapon damage and weapon type damage. The foundation is the sum of all the sources you see here. They're not buffs or bonuses. They're based on how thoroughly you've advanced your character, active weapons, and gear. They're persistent, and they're yours. The game's UI boringly calls this weapon damage, and the breakdown of everything that makes up the foundation was covered in detail in the video module, Deadlier Weapon Damage. Next, we covered the role of multipliers. These are bonuses and not part of your foundational baseline. They're not always on. For example, if your critical hit chance levels are low, you won't incur critical hit damage frequently. It's a gamble. If you aren't hitting headshots, then headshot damage won't kick in. If enemies are pressed against cover, then you won't incur damage to targets out of cover. Likewise with damage to armor. If enemies don't wear armor, then the amounts of DTA you have won't help you with them. Damage to health is great, but if the enemy is wearing armor, you have to destroy his armor bars before you get to his body underneath. Last, talents that give you an increase in total weapon damage always come with requirements, so read the fine print. You either have to gain it or maintain it. Such bonuses are temporary. Our ultimate goal is to augment our foundation with as many multipliers as possible. This lengthens the damage equation for higher numbers. While the foundation is persistent, the multipliers of augmentation are not. They're situational, conditional, and may depend on player skill or chance level. So, choose wisely, fellow agents. Adapt to your situations, adjust to complement your team, and change your fighting style if you're not properly making use of what the game provides. Before we move on, let's cover a temporary source of weapon damage increase and clear up confusion in our player community. I'm sure you've seen various talents in the game that look like these 4 examples. They offer a conditioned and temporary increase of weapon damage by so many percent. Are these increases additive or multiplicative? These terms themselves have caused some confusion, and there's already so much terminology in the game to keep up with. Let's keep this simple and see how an increase in weapon damage affects the damage equation. Although descriptions may use the words weapon damage or all weapon damage, their bonuses don't function as a multiplier like total weapon damage. These increases are not part of the augmentation phase of the calculation. So what exactly does an increase affect? Here's the answer. It increases the foundation, but the increase is not permanent. Just like any other talents, the buff or bonus is situational, conditional, and not always on. Some increases last only a few seconds at a time. Once a buff is no longer on, your foundation goes back to its baseline amount of weapon damage. Along with it, any higher damage you were able to dish out during the buff, thanks to any active multipliers, will go back down to previous levels. Whenever you see the words weapon damage or all weapon damage in talent descriptions, they generally refer to the foundation. I say generally because there are known inconsistencies between developer descriptions and how the final damage actually gets calculated. Yep, there's a lot of terminology to make sense of in this game. Weapon damage, all weapon damage, total weapon damage. If you're groaning on the inside and feeling like, oh no, why is this game so confusing? I know, I feel ya. I didn't create the game, I just play it. So to make the distinction more clear, game veterans refer to the foundation as all weapon damage. That distinguishes this from total weapon damage. Talents provide temporary bonuses or buffs. One talent can buff your foundation. Another talent can buff one of your multipliers. There are benefits to both buffs, and it can be even nicer if both happen simultaneously. Let's look at an analogy on the effects of an all-weapon damage buff. So we have our old friend, the 5, from the simplified math illustration we've been using in this mini-series. The 5 is the foundation, the starting point of the calculation. The 3 2s are multipliers. They're what we'll use for augmenting the foundation. You already know how this math goes. 5 times 2 times 2, then times 2 equals 40. Now, let's increase the foundation temporarily by 20%. That 5 is now buffed to 6. Let's use this 6 as the starting point temporarily. 6 times 2 times 2, then times 2 equals, get this, 48. Isn't that interesting? A small boost to the foundation can become massively augmented with multipliers. That's how multiplicative math works. If you overfocus on only one multiplier, such as crits, you may have big, sexy crit damage stats, but you may still struggle taking down enemies in raids, incursions, master, and legendary missions. Instead of chasing stats, focus on strategy. That means utilizing the game engine to your advantage. Give it a strong starting point, then augment it as much as possible with diverse multipliers, and watch your time to kill, or TTK, improve significantly. If you've come this far and are ready to let go of some old mentalities and habits to use the damage equation to its fullest potential, then let's move on to our final topic, amplification. Amplification isn't just about the size or magnitude of your personal damage output. It's also about scale. Imagine giving everyone amplified damage, then the team focuses on a heavy or named enemy. With talents and bonuses that amplify, you can increase your efficiency in clearing missions and become a more versatile and helpful agent to various teams. Before you rush to think this is a holy grail of sorts, amplification is math, not magic. To get the most out of it, you'll need to first understand how each amplifier works practically. If you don't do what they require of you, they won't function. At that point, it won't matter that you have them on your build. You'll have unused and wasted potential, so be sure to adjust to their requirements. Amplifiers work in various ways. You can amplify yourself, amplify the team, and debuff particular enemies. Here's a quick overview of each of these approaches. There are many examples we could explore, but for the sake of time, I'll focus on just a few. Amplifying yourself. In raids, loadouts with Striker's battle gear provide players with an amplified edge, enabling them to become more efficient team players. As long as you can gain and maintain stacks, the gear set's amplification can help you take down enemies efficiently, reduce time to kill, and enable you to help teammates clear adds and named enemies. Amplifying the team. In Countdown and open-world missions, I frequently encounter players who lack proper builds and are not ready to deal with the challenges they're about to face. I use Ongoing Directive, which helps me provide everyone with hollow point ammo that will amplify their weapon damage. This can contribute valuable multiplication where the team may fall short in much-needed DPS. Anyone with insufficient builds will be able to contribute more than they normally could. And advanced players will always appreciate the significant boost they're getting from the hollow point ammo. However, Ongoing Directive, like any 4-piece gear set, has talents and bonuses that require steps for you to consider. It's a similar concept to maintaining stacks with Striker's battle gear to keep your amplified damage at high levels. You must create and maintain a cycle of status affecting, marking, and killing an enemy to grant hollow point to you and your team. This hollow point ammo is virtually unlimited so long as you can proc the cycle. You might be surprised to know that in team challenges, others may have procced you with amplification, and you didn't know it. Here's an amplification source found in the Demolitionist specialization tree. This tactical link gives group members more DTOC. DTOC may be its own augmentation phase multiplier, but the fact that you're granting this at scale is a profound team-wide contribution. Amplifiers aren't just for DPS roles. Those who run skill builds can also buff the team. If you can proc your scanner pulse beyond tier 6 into what's called overcharge, you can amplify your and your allies' damage to pulse targets significantly. Other skills and gear sets will either amplify weapon damage or increase multipliers that help players achieve higher damage numbers. So don't miss out on those. Anytime you can scale everyone's damage, consider the opportunities before you. Last, debuff the enemy. So far, we've focused on buffing ourselves and our team. What about debuffing the enemy? If you're unable to increase the bullet and skill damage of your team, is it possible to make the enemy even more vulnerable? Yes. Amplification can also work on the enemy's end. Some debuffs will weaken particular enemies and make them more vulnerable. Here are some examples. They work pretty well together, and you'll see why. If you're a healer, you'll likely have little DPS and you're not tanky whatsoever, but you can still amplify. The Scorpio exotic shotgun has a remarkable talent, Septic Shock. Landing a 9th shot on a target makes that enemy take significantly more damage from all sources. Since you're already rocking a shotgun, look at this backpack talent, Opportunistic. Hitting enemies with your shotgun amplifies the damage they take from all sources for a time. See how these two complement each other? The Future Initiative gear set isn't an amplification source, but the total weapon damage you're providing teammates at scale can be enhanced by any amplifiers they have on their builds. As you can imagine, higher damage requires that you up your game, shift from self-centered play, and end your reliance on vanity stats and hoping magic items will make you more powerful. It's about math, not magic. The more you tune your builds to put the damage calculation to work, the more firepower you can gain from it for you and your team. So think smart, think strategy, and consider the outcomes you want to empower your team to achieve. Let's see how this works from a math standpoint. As you've seen so far, the game calculates damage multiplicatively. We start with a robust, persistent foundation, like wood you bring to a fire. The foundation becomes augmented through multipliers. The more, the merrier, provided you can proc them. But what if our damage levels aren't enough? This is where amplification comes in. Let's take a look at this final stage of multiplicative growth and how it influences the damage equation. So far, we've seen how foundational weapon damage becomes augmented by the multipliers you can proc. Amplifiers are final stage multipliers. Here I'm representing them as Amplifier 1, Amplifier 2, and Amplifier 3. I've shown 3, but there can be more. Just like everything in augmentation, they're situational, conditional, and require you to do things to either gain or maintain their buffs and bonuses. The benefits aren't persistent. From a math standpoint, amplifiers aren't additive. They are standalone, separate numbers, so they'll multiply all the damage you've managed to achieve so far and take things even further. That means the damage equation length, which would typically have increased only so much, now gets more multiplicative growth. And if you keep your striker stacks up, or keep those ongoing directive proc cycles going, the higher damage output can become truly eye-opening. This mini-series has been among the most complex and challenging topics I've ever had to explain. It would not have been possible without Dispatch demystifying foundational weapon damage and Hutchler for his YouTube guide on the damage equation. I also thank you for accompanying me on this journey to understand how damage works in Division 2. I've loved your encouraging words in the comments and running into a few of you in the game. As we conclude this miniseries, I'd ask a favor. Please like and share this channel with fellow community members, as this may help them through their struggles and challenges. Many of us were taught wrong earlier on. I've been fortunate to have met people who were kind and knew more than I did. But many have not found that friend. You could be that to someone out there. No matter what game you play or the community you're a part of, everyone needs kindness and friendship. That's it, friends. Hope to see you in the game. Stay strong, stay safe, and stay dangerous.